As the United States continues its pressure against Venezuela, the founder of Blackwater, the mercenary group, Eric Prince, has been revealed by a media report as lobbying the U.S. government as trying to get the United States to hire 5,000 mercenaries to attack Venezuela and overthrow the government for U.S. interests. According to Reuters, Prince, the brother of billionaire Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, who has over the past years since selling the mired in controversy Blackwater Group, now called Academy, revived his mercenary empire in China in the form of Frontier Services Group, intends to deploy a private army to help topple Venezuela's socialist president, Nicolas Maduro. Now, the plan calls for 5,000 opposition soldiers, mercenaries, to be used in the country under the leadership of Juan Guaido, according to several sources that spoke to Reuters. This is not one person making the claim. This is several sources that have come forward. Now, the controversial private security CEO has sought investments from both Trump and wealthy Venezuelan exiles. Now, neither the White House nor Guaido opposition representatives confirmed that they were even thinking about such a plan, and the wealthy Venezuelans that were contacted essentially claimed that they had nothing to do with any such plot and were not funding any kind of thing, which is completely not believable. Now, Reuters sources described in detail some of the proposals that the Venezuelan coup have set up. The two sources with direct knowledge of Prince's pitch said it calls for starting with intelligence operations and later deploying 4,000 to 5,000 soldiers for hire from Colombia and other Latin American nations to conduct combat and stabilization operations. Now, the sources say that Prince referred to something called a dynamic event. One of Prince's key arguments, one source said, is that Venezuela needs what Prince calls a dynamic event to break the stalemate that has existed since January, when Guaido, the head of Venezuela's National Assembly, declared Maduro's 2018 re-election illegitimate and invoked the Constitution to assume the interim presidency. To the shock and surprise of many, a subsidiary of his Hong Kong-based Frontier Services Group has been allowed to operate in Iraq, showing up in the southern city of Basra, after both Prince and Blackwater were formally barred by the Iraq government from ever entering the country again, following the 2007 Nisour Square massacre. So it's clear that the mercenary company and Eric Prince are trying to find a way to make money off of U.S. imperialism. Of course, that's the whole point of U.S. imperialism, is to make money, but he's certainly trying to dip his hand into the pot at the same time. Now, this would be something akin to the Bay of Pigs had this actually be carried out. Mercenaries will be sent to fight to try to topple the Venezuelan government, and it would probably meet the same fate as well. As it has been perfectly revealed, attempts at trying to overthrow the government have not been successful, not to mention the previous failure of the Bay of Pigs invasion. Now, it's very interesting to me that China would allow what is essentially a U.S. mercenary group that fights for U.S. interests on its land. It's kind of strange that anti-imperialist China or socialist China would allow an epicenter of U.S. power to operate freely in their own territory. Yeah. But overall, I mean, isn't this like the essence of class struggle? A socialist government from a third world country is trying to build up a resistance and defense from a first world capitalist country using private contractors to fight government forces. I mean, it's just such a perfect example of class struggle that I couldn't really think of a better one. It's just so wholly appropriate, and this is one of those things that the U.S. public should speak out against. This is one of the things that are horribly unethical, and shows that essentially the U.S., if they decide to go with this plan, don't even want to send U.S. soldiers to do it. They'll send very expendable, quote unquote, private contractors to do the job for them. So. In the end, it's great that this has been exposed, because the exposure of this might be enough to stop Prince from lobbying for this, but, time will tell. At least in the meantime, we can take solace in the fact that this plot to overthrow Venezuela has been exposed.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.